I practiced on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Let them go home on Friday if they had it close enough to get to some of their high school games and they had a chance to go watch them play. They brought them back on Sunday, and we begun our preparation for Temple. We know this is a dangerous game. That you're looking at a team that hasn't won a game yet, but what's going to be critical for us is that we have to go on the road again. We need to play well. We need to play with confidence. We need to play with energy. We need to play with passion. Every game from here now counts. It's a conference game. It's our first conference game, and it's on the road against an opponent that, we go in and play the way we're capable of playing, then we should feel pretty good, and the results should be pretty good for us. But we can't get full of ourselves. We just knowing this is a dangerous team, and we have to be well prepared.
How do you do that? What are the kind of tricks you can play to kind of get the guys so they don't get too full, don't overlook this game, because any loss will hurt just as much as that.
Well, yes, and you had to tell them, Ken, it's all about us, and it's all about our preparation. It's all about us going to be the best. If you're going to be the best team, then you got to go play like it. And then it's just from offense, defense, and special teams. But the leadership of the team needs to take over now. And then what's critical is that guys have to understand, we may be the best team, but we have to play the best, and be the best on game day.
What do you think Temple's been struggling with that?
Well, I think that anytime there's a coaching change, you still just try to find your niche or really what you are. You look at them offensively, the quarterback they started last year, they moved him to wide receiver, and they try to run the zone read with a quarterback, and they throw the ball a lot. So they're throwing more this year. Last year they were more of a running team, but defensively they have one of the leading tacklers in the middle linebacker in the conference. So it's a team that they're just still trying to find their niche and just trying to find out really who they are.
Speaking of coaching changes, Charlie, how do you read the mid-season changes we've seen in the last couple of days?
Well, I was on the staff one time that happened to us when I was in Florida. So it happens, and as a coach, you just continue to coach, and you just try to get your players try to get them prepared to go play each and every week.
Has there been a change in the culture of college football in that regard? Coaches more involved in it?
No, because if you think about it, and that happened to us, I think in 2000 and I want to say 3 or 4. I was in Florida at the time, and so it was a mid-season change right there. So I think that what people they want results, and if you're not giving them what they want, then there's going to be a change. But you hate to see it happen because you're friends with a lot of those guys, and you hate to see it happen with them because they've had some success before.
Last game aside, are you generally pleased with how your team is finishing games? I mean, last game was over different things. Are you generally pretty pleased with how they played second game?
Well, if you look at it, the Kentucky game was where we had to play a complete game there, but from the first couple or 3, we haven't been able to. We've been able to get our other players, get some of the backups, give them some added work which they needed. Because you look at it, you got a chance for Teddy to come out, Will Gardner to go in and take some snaps. And even on defense, you had a chance to play a lot of players. So we get a chance, an opportunity to play a lot of players and letting them get some game reps under their belt.
Offensively or defensively, is there any particular aspect you're hoping to emphasize in a game like this?
No, we're just gonna play just offensively. We're gonna do what we always do, and on defense, we're gonna run our package and special teams. We're gonna do what we do. And it's just because of the team we're playing, we're not going to change. We're going to see what tendencies they have, but we're still going to run our package.
Can you talk about the job Ryan Johnson has done for you at punter? I mean, when you obviously didn't need him the last game, but when you had to have him, he's really come through. And he was a walk-on last year, and nobody kind of knew where you were with that position.
Yeah, because what had happened, Ryan is an outstanding athlete, and he played quarterback in high school. He's punting the ball very well for us. I gave him a scholarship actually in the spring, because he came in and he won the job in the fall, so he deserved a scholarship. But he changes the field position. That's what you talk about in special teams, just changing the field position. That's what Ryan can do.
When you have a Saturday off, do you watch other games, and do you watch Georgia, LSU, or Ohio State, Wisconsin, and try and figure out how your team stacks up with those guys?
Yeah, because you know what happens. You sit there and you kind of have some time to yourself, and I do. I watch some of those games, and you compare our team to their team, And I said it, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I said in a meeting yesterday, I said, you're watching that Georgia and LSU game, and the ball is thrown up over the defender's head, and it's so critical, it's late, and they're driving, how do you just turn a guy loose like that? And both of those guys are good coordinators, but you don't ever like to see that happen, but we just can't make those mistakes. And but our players watch those games, and you just tell them, guys, it's all about how we play and how you finish games and how focused you are. And there's great situations right there.
Do you think your team could stand in there and slug it out with those guys?
Well, I think we have a good football team, and I think that if we play well on that day, we have a chance to go in and slug it out with those guys.
When you watch games like that, it seems like with SEC teams, when there's a high-scoring game like that, it's all the talk is it's great offense. Sometimes if there's a game like that in another league, people say it's terrible defense. Do you sense that at all?
So what is it, swaying in one conference than the
Well,
other?
the SEC, it seems like no matter what they do,
Yeah.
right, if Alabama shuts somebody out, then it's great defense. If somebody else
Right.
scores a bunch of points, it's great offense. It doesn't work that way.
Well, because you look at the Alabama, Texas A&M game, they said it's a great shootout on
Right.
offense.
But if that happened in another league, it's because it's terrible
Bad
defense.
defense. But I don't, you know what you try to do is from the defensive side, you as a defensive coach, you try to say, how do you slow down those teams and how do you not give up that many points? And then offensively, you from a way I look at it, say, can our offense go move the ball against that defense? So I try to put us in those situations.
How do you evaluate how the offensive line has done so far? Have you been pleased by what you've seen so far?
I said, I told our team that we can play better at every position, not only at the offensive line, but with every position. And you look at the offensive line wise, we're not, it said there's a 3 technique there, we know 3 techniques there, now we got to block him and move him. But it's also key for the running backs too. Sometimes we may not block them, but they have to be able to run through defenders. But we can do a lot better job, not only on the offensive line, but with every position.
This is usually that time of the year where you go, we're getting ready, Big East football, it's gonna be tough. What is AAC football?
Big East football.
Yeah.
No, but when you look at the teams, I always just measured up to, I know we're in a conference right now where some of the teams have left, with the Pittsburghs left, Syracuse, but we still have to go play. And it doesn't matter what team or who the opponent is, it's all about us getting our team. We have to prepare our team to go play and making sure that we have no slip-ups ourselves. Because it's tempo, so it's all about tempo this week, and not to look ahead to anyone else. Let's just make sure that we stay focused and that our mindset is all about going and get a great game plan and making sure our team is ready to go lock in and go play this game.
What is it like for you to keep having to answer that question every week?
Oh, you do, but because people look at where we are, and I think that they look at the team that we have, and so they say, okay, you guys have a good football team, but you're not playing anybody. But I tell our team all the time, it's all about how we play, and we can't worry about what anyone else says.
Is it harder having a short turnaround on the back end? I mean, because you have to come back on Thursday night. Is it more difficult? Do you put anything? You don't think ahead at all for that game at all?
You know, what we had a chance to do last week is that since we were open, we had a chance to go and look at Rutgers because it's a short week, so you play that game Saturday. So the preparation has to be next week. When we come back on Sunday, it's got to be treated like a Sunday, but a Monday's got to be treated like a Tuesday. The Tuesday's got to be treated like a Wednesday because it's such a short week.
What do you know about this Temple team? Looking at their schedule outside of their game at Notre Dame, it doesn't look like they've really been blown out of any games. They've been right there. Is that are you going up against what, at least on paper, looks like is a pretty decent offense?
Well, just offensively, they create problems because they run the side play, but with every side play, there's a route. So if the quarterback feels like he's getting hit at the side, he's going to just throw the ball outside. So you have to cover down on the perimeter, which usually with a side play you don't do because you just, you try to load the box and make sure that you have a guy that tackles a dive and the guy that takes the quarterback. But what they do, they put pressure on the perimeter with the way they throw the football. So it's just making sure that we don't turn anyone loose in the back end.
Charlie, you've made reference multiple times today and through the season about it's all about us. The expectation is that these games may be lopsided. Does that resonate with your players? Do you fear that they're maybe complacent or that they could be prone to that?
No, because what I always talk to the players about is just going out and it's just being the best you can be and go and compete at a high level. The standard has been raised here, So let's make sure that we don't lower our standard and don't play down to the level of our competition. If we think we're better, let's go out and show everyone that we're better. Now, when we don't, then if we want to go out there and just kind of mess around for 4 quarters, then we're going to go out there without the focus. We can go have a chance to go lose a football game. But it's all about us too, preparing ourselves. That's why I say it's all about us. It's how we prepare as a coaching staff, how we get our players to go play.
That's your message, but how do your players receive it? Do you see them buying into that?
I think they're buying into it just because of the way they're going out there and compete. If you get the leaders of your team, if you get them to buy in, which we've been able to do so far, because if you look at us on offense, with Teddy, with Jake Smith, with our running backs competing with Devontae and Cole Plant at the wide receiver position, with Gerald Christian being added in with Robert Clark, I think that those guys want to go compete at the highest level. And then on defense, you look at it right now with Preston Brown, with Pryor, with Brandon Dunn, with Phylon, Marcus, and Malden, and just the way they're competing. You can always just look at how hard guys are playing, and you can say, you know what, they get the message. Now they just kind of just going through the motion, then you're like, you know what, they don't get it yet. What do we have to do to get them to get it?
Did you have to deliver that message a lot when you were a coach at Florida? Because I'm sure you were better than every team you're playing there.
I think it's different there because every player there think they're great players, so you really didn't have to say much to them because it's just how their ego was. But it was sometimes with some of the teams you had to tell them, hey guys. But those guys, it was. They all thought they were pro players, so they were just trying to play for the next level. Whereas here, it's all about, hey, let's get them to just go out and compete, guys, and go be your best.
Is there any motivation? I mean, can you just put on the sugar ball and go, this could what happen if we don't take it seriously?
Well, there's a lot of motivation because when you look at our football team, a lot of these guys are 4-year starters, so they've seen us, go out and go lose some games that we shouldn't lose. I just refer back to, hey, just go back to Syracuse last year. And then let's go back to Connecticut last year. Most of these guys are still here in this room. We didn't lose many of you guys, and a lot of you were starters. So you can see what happened to a football team if we're not prepared to go play.
What about Holloman? What have you seen from him? How do you think he's progressed?
Holloman, it's still learning. The thing about Holloman, we moved him to nickel, let him play some nickel position for us. So he's a safety and nickel. So he's getting an opportunity to get on the field, and he plays a lot of special teams for us.
Coach, the bye week is often a big week for recruiting for the coaching staffs. Imagine you guys had some chance to get on the road. What's the reception out there like for the kids after the 4-0 start?
Well, it's great reception because now your name is out there and everyone has a chance to see us play and they watch us play. So when a coach walks into school, then I think that it's a good different outlook for them because now they can walk and say, hey, we're from the University of Louisville. And but the players see it because they see us with our shirts on or our jackets or whatever we were in that day. But what has happened though, with us having our guy, we have most of our classes kind of in place, then we have a chance to go out and watch the games and go watch the players that we have already committed into the program.
Have you guys been able to get Louisville to the level where you're welcome in almost any door you want to knock on?
Oh, you're gonna get welcome into any door because of what we've done. They're going to welcome you in. Mm-hmm. Now it's all about, can you go close that player now? They're going to open the door for us. Now it's all about, can we go in there and get it done?
What was the feedback you got from your assistants that they did get the guys they did get to go see?
Well, what we did was we just saw guys that we already had committed into the program, so they had a chance to get into the high school to see the principals and the teachers and some of the coaches. But we just went to see the guys that we already had committed.
Well, you threw 4 games, and you said earlier on the conference call you're pretty healthy injury-wise, pretty fortunate. Are there any guys, Brooks is a guy who, would you expect him back? Or are there any guys that are right there you're trying to get healthy now that you might expect back soon?
No, because, with those guys that, that's been hurt, hasn't played up to this point, we haven't even figured them into the equation because we're playing so well right now. But if, they happen to get back, then, it just give us more depth. But right now, we're not even talking about it.
We're playing at this level, and there's a concern, I guess, about looking past overmatched opponents. How do you use playing time as a carrot to keep guys motivated?
What I try to do when you talk about like we're seeing a team that we're overmatched, we try to go on with just goals. Like we say defensively, these are the goals we like to set this week. And just see if our players can reach those goals. And then offensively, this is what we like to see get done this week. So when you're saying, you know, like for the FIU game, you know, when you say, hey, this is a team that we should go out and beat, but we play at our level, we play the way we expected to go play. But you try to put goals in front of our, just, you know, that these are the goals that we're trying to get accomplished, so that our players will go out and see if they can accomplish those goals.
Obviously, scoring 72 each week is a high goal, but is there a certain scoring number that you get to that you say that's enough? Because in that same week that you score 72, Ohio State scores 76, and there was a lot of talk about the colleges running up the score on kind of the FCS teams. Is there a certain plateau you get to that maybe you say that's it, and let's take a look at Will Gardner and the backups?
Well, I always say this, that other teams practice the way we practice, and you always want to respect the game. You never want to disrespect an opponent. And when you feel like a game is getting out of hand, then not just say, hey, listen, it's time for us to let our other players go play it. But, you know, they deserve a chance to also go operate and go manage the offense. You like to see Will see if he can take the offense down the field and go score also. But you don't ever want to disrespect anyone and just say how many points. I'm not about saying how many points we can score. When they say, well, I think it's enough, then I'm going to pull our starters out and say, hey, let everyone else go play and give them an opportunity to have some fun.
Is it surprising, after that win over FIU, you are now the 5th most winningest coach in Louisville history?
I never do that. No, I don't. You know, I guess I've never even looked at any stats like that. I just want to make sure that we just keep winning with what I have this year. Just keep it going.
Do you like having the schedule the way that it is? I mean, 4 weeks of break, another 3 or 4 weeks of break. I mean, how does that kind of help you in terms of, I'll say, maybe building that depth or keeping fresh?
Well, you like the way the schedule is because you're with all non-conference, so then you take a break. Now you're going to go about 4 conference games and then take another break. But it does. And if you do get a guy injured, you have a chance to get him back because now you have a week off. And even if you get him hurt, a week prior, at least you think the injury is not serious enough where he can't bounce back and get back into the flow of the game. But it helps because I think it allows you to break down your season. But really, I haven't even placed a lot of emphasis on our team about how the schedule is broken out because it's all been about just one game. So what I do is, I don't know if you guys have seen it outside, you see our schedule. The only team that shows right now is Temple. So I cover up the rest of the games. Even the opponents we played, they're not there. I just keep it out. So the only team right now is Temple, and that's it.
Do you watch the NFL at all?
No, I don't watch much of it.
So it's mainly college?
Just college ball.
Are there any defensive coordinators out there or systems or teams right now that have really impressed you this year?
In the NFL, I haven't really
Or in
watched.
college football?
In college. You know what happens with college ball now? It's tough because so much pressure is put on the defense now because the game is so wide open. But what you have to be able to do, you have to be able to play great defense, and that's why I always say the plan to win, you play great defense. You look at the team, you know, people say, why does Alabama win? Alabama win because they play great defense. But they play, it's all about, you got to play to your offense. Also, your offense got to play to the defense, and they got to help one another out. Because you don't want, a lot of times if you see what happens if a defense is out on the field, then offense goes and turn the ball over, defense is back out there, eventually you're going to give them a score because they're not getting enough rest. But when your offense can take the ball and drive it and get some, those 8 to 10 play drives, then it gives your guys a chance to rest.
Charlie, you were asked a little bit about it over at Planet Fitness last week, but would you like to see the stadium enclosed eventually? And has the crowd you all have gotten so far feel like that's something you guys could do?
I think we have the most passionate fans in the country. I think our fans bring a lot of energy to the game, and you would like to. You like to continue to build and keep winning. And I think if you continue to win, then you can enclose this stadium. But you still have to win because you got to keep people's interest. And if that can happen, if you can get the stadium enclosed, that way we can keep all the noise inside and just make it a big time. It's already nice, but you can make it even bigger by just enclosing it. And you're going to see that when we step into that conference next year. When you go to the Clemsons, and we've been to North Carolina already. You go to Blacksburg, to Virginia Tech. You'll see what those stadiums and see what they really look like. And you'll see the whole atmosphere and what you want to build here, what you want to. We're building it, and what we'd like to do is continue to build it.
So what's a bigger story in the Strong household? U of L being undefeated and ranked 7th in the country, or Mercy being #1 in the country?
Mercy being #1 in the country.
Is it even close?
It's not even close. Because they're gonna talk about volleyball. Mercy being the #1. But Mercy, you know, that's amazing, because the volleyball here is from Assumption to Mercy. You know, you look at those two programs, and they just battle at Sacred Heart. They battle all the time. But I did never know volleyball was that big till we moved here. But he has some really good coaches, for Ron Cornish, to Todd over at Mercy. But they do a great job, and it's just it's so fun to watch. I always tell someone I'd like to go to volleyball, because you know it's going to be a point somewhere, either for their team or our team. But it's a fun sport to watch.
Anything else?